If you're a sports fan, make sure you go check out SportsCastr for all of your sports needs. Whether you're a football fan, basketball fan, or baseball fan, this app is the perfect way to get news for your team and is an app I personally use myself in case any of you guys want to check out my pregame, halftime, or postgame streams. I'll leave a link in the description below. What is up, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global back here with another video, and in this one, we got some really good news, especially when it comes to our wide receiver core, as wide receiver N'Keal Harry, rookie wide receiver N'Keal Harry, is expected to return to practice this week. Harry was the first wide receiver to ever be taken by Bill Belichick in the Bill Belichick era in the first round of a draft, so there's a lot of expectations on him, a lot of huge expectations on him, especially him being a first round pick. But then you add the fact that, again, Bill Belichick has never done this before. Now, he was placed on the injured reserve a little while back with a hamstring injury. We all know that he was dealing with a little bit of injuries throughout the offseason, more specifically in training camp. Before the actual game for week 1 of the preseason versus the Detroit Lions, in joint practice with them, N'Keal Harry suffered a bit of an injury. Now, none of us expected him to play. Really, in hindsight, he should not have played, but a little while into the game, we see N'Keal Harry actually playing. He made 2 really good catches, but after that second one, he was limping off, and then he was never to be seen again. Now, of course, the big thing to remember here is that the New England Patriots are only able to bring back 2 players from the injured reserve all season. So if the Patriots do decide to actually bring back N'Keal Harry and activate him here from the injured reserve, then that means they're using up 1 spot this season, and they will only have 1 more spot to bring someone back. Now, Bill Belichick is not 100% sure if he will be ready to practice just yet, but they are hoping. This is obviously the first week that he is eligible to actually return back to the field after being put on injured reserve, but everything is looking very positive in his possible return for this week. Something else to remember here is that he has to spend about 2 weeks back practicing with the team until he's actually able to be activated for a legit game. So what I mean by that is if he does come back this week, he will not be able to play versus the Jets. The first game he will be able to play will be versus the Ravens in 2 weeks. So he will be out versus the Jets and the Browns definitely. So the first game that he officially would be able to be seen in as his first rookie game in the NFL would be versus the Baltimore Ravens. Belichick, of course, was asked a lot of different questions about N'Keal Harry, not just this week, but through the span of him being drafted, really, but more specifically since he was put on the injured reserve. And Bill Belichick said that he's not concerned about the 21-year-old's mental readiness, so he knows that he is definitely ready when it comes to his mental reasons, so he's not concerned about that. It's just he's more concerned about his physical play and his conditioning. Is his body ready to play, not his head? He also said that mentally he's been able to keep up with everything that they are doing. It's just physically they need to know that he is going to be ready to go. Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels also spoke about this issue. He said that they will determine how N'Keal Harry is doing and when he will be ready to actually play and contribute to the team in actual games based on how he performs in practice, okay? If he's performing well in practice, it looks like he's maneuvering well. It doesn't look like he's limping or really favoring any of his legs or moving really slowly, then they'll be able to bring him back. But if there's something that they're concerned about, they're not going to push the issue and they won't bring him back in that case. New England could obviously use some help here at the wide receiver position. That is just a gimme at this point, okay? We're hearing a lot of different rumors about them trying to make a trade for a top wide receiver before the trade deadline. Now, I don't really think that N'Keal Harry coming back will really affect any of this, especially because he is a rookie. He has been dealing with injury, so I still expect the Patriots to try to still make some trade offensively despite him coming back or not. But the fact that the Patriots are looking at receivers just shows how much they are swimming in the need for one. Now, the good thing here is that they've been able to work with N'Keal Harry all offseason. You know, rookie minicamp, regular minicamp. You also had OTAs, training camp. He was able to get a little bit of action in a preseason game, which, although kind of led to more of a serious injury, was still good to get him out there a little bit. And based on what the Patriots have already at injuries, you look at Philip Dorsett, he's dealing with the hamstring. He was out versus the Giants. Now, His injury is not expected to be serious, but nonetheless, he is still banged up. You have Julian Edelman, he's been banged up. Josh Gordon dealing with a knee injury. He was knocked out versus the game versus the Giants. We do not know how serious that is supposed to be. Shouldn't be anything too serious. It's actually expected to be kind of like the same injury that Sony Michel had dealt with a little while back. So could potentially just be out for 1 to 2 weeks. But because of all these injuries that the Patriots have dealt with, they were forced to go with more of these undrafted guys, these backup guys in Jakobi Meyers and Gunnar Olszewski in last week's game versus the Giants, which is part of why the Patriots had such issues offensively. Both Gunnar Olszewski and Jakobi Meyers played 57 and 50 total offensive snaps. And when it came to the second half of the game, when guys like Josh Gordon had left, also guys like Matt LaCosse hadn't come back, those guys hardly were able to come off the field. Now, something else to remember here is that if the Patriots do bring back N'Keal Harry, he's practicing here in practice and whatnot, but the Patriots do not activate him within 21 days of his first practice, then he would be going back to the injured reserve, and it would end his season, not to mention the fact that that would still have taken up one of the Patriots' IR designations. The best way I can make sense of this for you is an example. So back in 2017 with Malcolm Mitchell, he had been back on injured reserve. Then the Patriots brought him back to practice. Everyone thought that he was coming back. Then he never did. He got reverted back to the injured reserve. His season was fully ended, but the Patriots had used one of their IR designation spots, so it kind of screwed them over. N'Keal Harry will definitely be a great addition here to the Patriots offense, a big receiver here at 6'4". The Patriots really need some tall guys, something that they tried to really build on this offseason, and you look at what they have now, and it just totally started to deplete. He's a fairly fast receiver. He's a guy who can play on the outside, who can play on the inside, but of course, you're mostly going to see him on the outside, but is going to be really good at those 50-50 balls or those jump balls. That's what he did well in college. That's what he did well in the first preseason game that we saw him in versus the Detroit Lions. Just a guy with really strong hands, really able to locate the ball in the air. So that's what you're going to see. You're going to see him really in those tough situations, but really able to haul down those big catches. But that's going to be it for today's video. What are your guys' thoughts on N'Keal Harry? Expected to be back at practice. Let me know in the comments below. Also, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe if you have not already. But other than that, I will catch you guys in another video.